There's a certain peace in sitting at the edge of the gym bleachers, far enough that no one notices you, but close enough to feel the rhythm of everything. The squeak of sneakers, the thump of the basketball, the echo of laughter, all of it blends into something I can draw. I'm not here for the game. I never am. I come for the way people move, their postures, their emotions hidden in gestures. When people think no one's watching, they're the most honest versions of themselves. And then there's him. Ethan Reyes. Team captain, number 7, local celebrity. Everyone seems to orbit him without meaning to. He laughs easily, plays harder, and somehow manages to make the whole gym feel smaller when he's on the court. I've drawn him 6 times this month. 7, if you count the one I started today. My pencil glides across the page, sketching the slope of his shoulders, the focused line of his jaw. I tell myself it's for anatomy practice, that it's not weird to draw someone you've never spoken to. I mean, artists observe. That's what we do. But I know I'm lying to myself a little. I'm halfway through shading when I feel it, the weight of someone's gaze. It's subtle at first, but instinct makes me glance up. He's looking right at me. I freeze. My pencil hovers above the page, my heart doing this ridiculous, uneven flutter. For a moment, I think I'm imagining it, that maybe he's looking past me, at the scoreboard or the coach. But then he grins, just slightly, like he knows something I don't, and the ball slips from his fingers. Someone else catches it and calls his name, but he doesn't look away. I snap my sketchbook shut and pretend to rummage through my bag. My face burns. Oh no. He saw. He definitely saw. When the whistle blows and practice ends, I make a quick escape down the side steps, hoping the floor swallows me whole. I'm halfway to the art building when a voice calls out behind me. Hey, wait up. I know that voice. I've heard it through the gym speakers, over cheers, in the hallways when people shout his name. I turn around slowly, like maybe if I move carefully, he'll disappear. But of course, he doesn't. He jogs toward me, still in his practice jersey, hair messy and eyes bright. You were sketching me, he says, not accusingly, just curious, almost amused. I clutch my sketchbook to my chest. I was just practicing. It's for class. He tilts his head. Can I see? My throat goes dry. No one ever asks to see. My drawings are private, like pages from a diary. I shake my head before I even realize it. They're not finished. He nods, thoughtful, then smiles. Then finish them. All of them. Every day, if you can. I blink. What? He shrugs. You said it's for practice, right? Practice makes perfect. I don't mind being your model. And then, as if he hasn't just completely rearranged the balance of my world, he waves goodbye and jogs off toward the locker room. I stand there for a full minute, holding my sketchbook like it's suddenly heavier than before. My pulse still hasn't calmed down. When I finally open it again, I look at the unfinished sketch of him, lines trailing into white space. For the first time, I feel something new in my hand, not just the urge to draw, but the strange flutter of being seen. The next day, I pretend I'm not thinking about him. I pack my sketchbook, pencils, and eraser like always, tuck my hair behind my ear like always, and take the same seat at the top of the gym bleachers. But everything feels different now, like the air's heavier with something I can't quite name. He said, finish them. Every day, if you can. I didn't say yes. But I didn't say no, either. Ethan jogs onto the court a few minutes later, laughing with his teammates. His smile is effortless, the kind that pulls people in without trying. I tell myself I'm only here to study anatomy and motion, like a serious art student should. But the truth is, my hand itches for my pencil before he even starts playing. When I open my sketchbook, yesterday's unfinished drawing stares back at me, his half-formed smile frozen in graphite. I pick up where I left off, tracing the line of his neck, the curve of his wrist. The pencil glides like it knows the path on its own. Half an hour later, when I glance up again, he's looking at me. This time, he doesn't pretend not to notice. He grins and lifts a hand in a small wave before going back to his drills. I nearly drop my pencil. Okay, I think, this is fine. It's just drawing. He's just a subject. You're not supposed to get flustered by your subjects. By the end of practice, I've filled 2 pages with sketches of him, tiny snapshots of movement, expressions caught mid-laugh, lines that somehow feel alive. When the whistle blows, I'm already packing up, trying to escape before another confrontation. No such luck. Hey, artist girl. I freeze. That voice again. Ethan is jogging up the bleachers toward me, hair damp with sweat, jersey clinging to his shoulders. Up close, he looks even more annoyingly perfect. Did you draw me again? He asks, smiling. Maybe, I mumble, hugging the sketchbook to my chest. He leans forward slightly, curious but not pushy. Can I see this one? I hesitate, then open to a page, not the best one, but not the worst either. His eyes scan the drawing, and for once, he's quiet. Wow, he says softly. You make me look better than I actually am. I almost laugh. That's not possible. His eyes flick up to mine, and for a second, there's this quiet moment where neither of us says anything. The world around us hums, the bounce of a stray basketball, the chatter of teammates, but it all feels distant. Then he breaks the silence. You should come by after school sometimes. I'll be here anyway, practicing. You can draw more if you want. He says it like it's nothing, like it's completely normal to invite someone you barely know into your routine. I nod before I can stop myself. Okay. He grins, like he's won a small victory. Cool. It's a deal then, artist girl. When I get back to my dorm, I replay the whole thing in my head, over and over, until I'm smiling without meaning to. My roommates notice, of course, but I just tell them I got good feedback on an art project. That night, I open my sketchbook again. His face stares back at me in pencil and light, surrounded by the faint ghost of motion lines. I trace the edge of one with my finger and whisper, "Practice makes perfect, huh?" And for the first time, I'm not sure if I'm still practicing art or something else entirely. By the 3rd afternoon, it starts to feel like a ritual. I take my usual seat near the bleachers, open my sketchbook, and wait for Ethan to arrive. He always waves first. It's small, but it feels like our own quiet language, something no one else notices. The gym smells like varnished wood and chalk dust, the air humming with the rhythm of sneakers squeaking against the floor. I start sketching as he stretches, lines curving into motion before my mind even catches up. I used to draw people as shapes, heads, shoulders, limbs. But with him, it's different. He doesn't stand still long enough to become a shape. His movement itself, messy, alive, unpredictable. Halfway through practice, he jogs over to the sidelines to grab a drink, and I glance up just as he looks back at me. He tilts his head toward my sketchbook. "Can I?" he asks between breaths. I hesitate, then hand it over. He flips through the pages slowly, eyes wide like he's afraid to breathe too hard and smudge the drawings. "You make it look like I know what I'm doing," he says with a laugh. I smile. "You do know what you're doing." He looks at me then, really looks, and for a moment, it's hard to tell who's observing who. "Do you draw other people like this?" he asks suddenly. The question catches me off guard. "Sometimes. Mostly when they don't notice." He nods, thoughtful. "Guess I ruined that for you." "Kind of," I admit, smiling. He grins. "Then I'll try not to notice next time." He jogs back to the court, but his words stick with me. "I'll try not to notice." The funny thing is, I think he already does. Every time I lift my pencil, he seems to move just a little differently, like he's performing for the page. By the end of the week, I've filled half a sketchbook with him. My art teacher, Mrs. Alvarez, notices. "These are different from your usual work," she says, flipping through the pages. "Different how?" "They feel alive," she murmurs. "You're not just drawing what you see anymore. You're drawing what you feel." I don't know how to respond to that. Maybe because I know she's right. The next day, Ethan finds me in the courtyard during lunch. I'm not sketching, just reading under a tree, but he sits beside me like it's the most natural thing in the world. "You don't always have to hide in the bleachers, you know," he says, unwrapping a granola bar. "I like the view from there." He grins. "Of me?" My cheeks burn. "Of movement." "Aha." He chuckles, taking a bite. "You should let me draw you sometime." I nearly choke on my water. You draw. He shrugs. Why not? You've been sketching me for days. Fair's fair. You'll regret it, I warn him. I'm not great at sitting still. He leans closer, just enough that I can smell the faint mix of soap and sweat. That's okay. I'm good at paying attention. For a moment, everything feels suspended, the chatter of students, the wind in the trees, even my heartbeat. Then he leans back, grinning again like he didn't just make my entire brain short-circuit. See you at practice later, artist girl. As he walks away, I flip open my sketchbook and start to draw him from memory, not his face this time, but his silhouette walking into sunlight, shoulders relaxed, smile still lingering in the air. I realize something then. Somewhere between lines and laughter, he stopped being just a subject. He's becoming part of the story I've been sketching all along. It starts as a joke. Come on, Ethan says, holding out a blank page from my spare sketchbook. You've had enough practice drawing me. It's my turn now. We're sitting under the bleachers after practice. The gym lights are off, except for the golden evening glow filtering through the high windows. His teammates left half an hour ago, but he stayed behind, said he needed to work on his free throws. Instead, we've been talking. About art. About basketball. About everything and nothing. Now he's holding one of my pencils like it's a fragile relic. You sure about this? I ask, raising an eyebrow. You could ruin my reputation as an artist. He laughs, that low, warm sound I've started to look forward to. You underestimate my talent. Oh, I'm sure I don't. He grins, then squints at me, pretending to study my face. Okay. Don't move. I try to hold still, but it's impossible. I can feel his gaze like sunlight, soft but warm enough to make my heart flutter. Every time he leans closer to look, my pulse skips a beat. He draws for maybe 10 minutes, tongue poking out slightly in concentration. When he's done, he flips the sketchbook around proudly. It's not terrible. But it's definitely not good. I laugh before I can stop myself. That's wow. That's something. He winces, mock offended. Brutal. You could have at least pretended it was a masterpiece. I said something. That's a compliment, technically. He laughs again, then takes the sketchbook back and looks at the drawing. Okay, maybe I'll leave the art to you. Good idea. He's quiet for a moment, tracing the edge of the paper with his thumb. Still, he says softly, it's kind of nice. Trying to capture someone. I tilt my head. Nice how? He glances up, meeting my eyes. Because you notice things you wouldn't otherwise. Like the way someone tucks their hair behind their ear when they're nervous. I freeze. Or how they press their lips together when they're trying not to smile, he adds, his voice barely above a whisper. I look away, suddenly fascinated by the flaw. You pay too much attention. Maybe you taught me that. The words hang there, fragile and heavy all at once. I don't know what to say, so I do what I always do, I draw. I flip to a blank page and start sketching him again, quickly, before the light fades. His expression is softer than usual, no performance, no laughter. Just him, quiet and still. When I'm done, I slide the sketchbook across to him. He looks at it for a long time, then exhales, the sound almost shaky. You make me look peaceful. I nod. That's because you are. At least right now. He looks up, and his smile is small but real. You see more than most people do. I don't tell him that's because he lets me. Outside, the sun dips lower, painting the gym floor in amber light. The air smells faintly of pine from the old varnish, of summer sneaking through the open windows. When he finally stands, he closes the sketchbook carefully and hands it back. Can we do this again tomorrow? I don't even have to think. Yeah, we can. He smiles, then jogs off toward the locker room, his footsteps echoing softly. When he's gone, I flip to the page he drew of me. It's clumsy and uneven, but there's something about it, a kind of sincerity you can't fake. He didn't draw me perfectly. He drew me honestly. And somehow, that feels even better. It's strange how quickly something ordinary becomes a habit, and how a habit becomes something you can't imagine your days without. By the time midterms roll around, Ethan and I have our routine down to muscle memory. After school, he practices. I draw. We talk in the quiet pauses between drills and sketches. Sometimes about art or basketball, sometimes about nothing at all. But even the silences between us start to mean something. Today, the gym is nearly empty. Outside, rain taps softly against the windows. The air smells faintly like dust and sweat and wet earth, comforting in a weird way. Ethan's sitting on the floor beside me, stretching, while I sketch him from a few feet away. He's not wearing his usual grin today. His brows are furrowed, his jaw tight. You okay? I ask quietly. He exhales, scrubbing a hand through his hair. Coach says scouts are coming next week. College recruiters. That's good, right? He hesitates. Yeah. It's what I've been working for since freshman year. But, it's a lot. He doesn't say what a lot means, but I can hear it in his voice: expectations, pressure, the weight of being everyone's hope. I want to draw that, the tension behind his calm, the way his eyes soften when he's unsure. But it feels too personal, too much like stealing. Do you ever feel like people expect you to be someone you're not? He asks suddenly. I look down at my sketchbook. All the time. But I think ART's the only place I get to be who I actually am. He nods, eyes distant. Basketball used to feel like that for me. I close my sketchbook. Used to? He shrugs. I don't know. Lately, it feels like it's not mine anymore. Like I'm just playing someone else's game. For a moment, I don't know what to say. Then, slowly, I tear a page from my sketchbook, the one where I drew him last week, laughing mid-game, full of energy and light. I hand it to him. Keep this, I say. Maybe it'll remind you what it used to feel like. He looks at it like it's something fragile, something precious. You're giving this to me. Just don't lose it, I tease. He smiles, but there's something in his expression, soft and unreadable. He folds the drawing carefully, sliding it into his backpack. I won't, he says quietly. Promise. The next day, he finds me outside the art building, sitting beneath the oak tree where we first talked. He's holding a small notebook. What's that? I ask. He shrugs, handing it to me. My version of your sketchbook. I open it, expecting doodles. But instead, I find words, small, messy notes written in pencil. Each page has a date and a line or two. You looked happy today when the light hit your hair. She doesn't realize how she hums when she draws. She sees people like they're worth looking at. My throat tightens. You wrote these about me? He nods, suddenly shy. I can't draw. So I did what I could. Guess I was sketching you in my own way. I look up at him, heart stumbling over itself. Ethan. He laughs nervously, rubbing the back of his neck. You don't have to say anything. I wanted you to know you're kind of part of my life now. Not just in drawings. It's quiet between us for a long moment. Then I whisper, you're part of mine, too. He exhales like he's been holding his breath for weeks. The rain starts again, soft and steady, and he moves closer under the tree's branches. We don't touch, just sit side by side, our shoulders almost brushing. I can feel the warmth of him, the calm in his presence. When I open my sketchbook again, I start a new page, not of him playing, or smiling, or laughing. Just the two of us sitting together, surrounded by rain and light. I don't know what to title it, so I leave the page blank. He glances at it over my shoulder and says, you should call it home. And for the first time, I realize he's right. The gym feels louder when he's nervous. I can tell by how hard he bounces the ball, how his voice lifts too quickly when he jokes with his teammates. The scouts have been coming all week, sitting on the sidelines with clipboards and unreadable faces. Everyone's trying to impress them, especially Ethan. I still sit in my usual spot, sketchbook open. But lately, it feels like I'm drawing from farther away. After practice, he doesn't jog over like he used to. He's always talking to coaches, or other players, or someone in a crisp polo shirt with a clipboard. I pack up quietly and slip out before he can see me waiting. I tell myself I don't mind, that he's busy, that he deserves this. But a part of me misses the way he used to look for me first. Friday afternoon, I'm walking toward the art building when I hear someone call my name. Hey, artist girl. I turn, heart stuttering. Ethan's running toward me, sweat damp and smiling, holding something behind his back. You disappeared after practice, he says, still catching his breath. I wanted to show you something. He pulls out a folded piece of paper, my drawing. The one I gave him weeks ago. It's kind of beat up now, he admits, smoothing it out, but I've been keeping it in my locker. I look at it before every game. I blink. Why? Because it reminds me of how it used to feel. You know, fun. He grins softly. You were right. It helps. I smile, but something in my chest tightens. So, are you going to take one of the offers? He looks down. Maybe. There's one from a school out of state. The words hang between us like a storm cloud. Out of state. Oh, I manage. That's amazing, Ethan. You should. I haven't decided yet. He cuts me off gently, eyes searching mine. I just wanted to tell you first. Something in the way he says it makes my throat ache. For a long moment, neither of us says anything. The breeze moves through the courtyard, carrying the faint smell of rain and cut grass. Can I walk you back? He asks finally. We walk side by side down the path, our footsteps quiet on the pavement. It's the same route we've taken 100 times, but now it feels fragile, like something that might break if I breathe too hard. When we reach the art building, I stop at the steps. You should take it, I say softly. The offer, I mean. He studies me, brow furrowed. What if I don't want to leave everything behind? Maybe you're not leaving, I say, forcing a smile. Maybe you're just taking us with you. In your sketches. He laughs softly. In my notes, you mean? Right. In your notes. He nods, then pulls something from his backpack, his small notebook, the one filled with all the quiet things he noticed about me. He presses it into my hands. Hold on to this, he says. Just until I know what I'm doing. I clutch it, the worn cover warm from his hands. Ethan. He gives me that same boyish grin, the one that got me into this mess in the first place. You're the only person I trust to keep it safe. Then he turns and walks away, toward the gym, his silhouette framed in the fading sunlight. I stand there until he's gone, the notebook pressed to my chest. When I open it later that night, there's a new entry written in darker pencil, dated today. I think I'll miss her before I even go. My fingers tremble as I close the notebook. For the first time since meeting him, the page feels too heavy to hold. So I do the only thing I know how to do, I draw. I sketch him walking away, his outline fading into the white of the page. And underneath it, I write a single word. Stay. The day he leaves feels like the end of summer, too bright, too warm, and somehow already fading. The school announced his scholarship at morning assembly. Everyone cheered. He looked happy when they called his name, but I could tell from the way his smile didn't reach his eyes that he was already somewhere else. I skip lunch and go straight to the art room. The smell of paint thinner and paper is comforting, grounding. I sit by the window with my sketchbook, but for the first time in months, I can't draw. Every line I try to make feels wrong, too shaky or too careful. I stare at the empty page for a long time. Maybe it's because I know what this one is supposed to be, the last sketch I'll ever draw of him. There's a knock at the door. Figured I'd find you here, Ethan says softly, leaning against the doorframe. He looks different out of uniform, hoodie, jeans, his duffel bag slung over his shoulder. The sight of it makes my heart twist. You're leaving today, I whisper. He nods. The bus leaves in an hour. We stand there in the quiet hum of the art room. The sunlight cuts across his face in slanted gold, and for a moment, I just look at him, memorizing everything, the curve of his smile, the scar on his chin, the way he still somehow smells faintly of rain and effort. I wanted to say goodbye, he says finally. Properly. I nod, but my throat feels too tight to answer. He steps closer, glancing at the sketchbook on my lap. Is that one of me? Not yet. My voice cracks. It will be. He smiles gently. Can I see when you finish it? You'll be far away. I don't care. Send it anyway. I look down at my hands, then back at him. You think it'll be that easy? Just Keep sketching and sending drawings like nothing changed. He sighs, sitting on the stool beside me. No. But I'd rather try than pretend this didn't mean anything. That's when I feel it, that quiet ache, the kind that's been growing in the corners of my chest since the day he first smiled at me. You know, he says, his voice low, you made this place feel different. Lighter. You did the same for me. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out something small, folded paper, creased at the edges. My drawing. The one of him laughing, the one I told him not to lose. I don't think I can leave it behind, he says. It's part of the story now. I take it from his hand carefully, then flip to a blank page in my sketchbook. Then let me draw one more. He sits still while I work. The room goes quiet except for the soft scratch of my pencil. This time, I don't rush. I draw every detail I want to remember, the steadiness in his eyes, the quiet curve of his mouth, the way he leans forward like he's listening. When I finish, I tear the page out and hand it to him. This one's for you. He studies it for a long moment, then looks up. You always draw what you see, he murmurs. But this one looks like what I feel. He stands, tucking the drawing carefully into his bag. For a second, I think he's going to leave without saying anything else. But then he steps closer, close enough that I can see the flecks of gold in his eyes. Thank you, he says softly. For seeing me. I swallow hard. You made it easy. He hesitates, like there's something more he wants to say. Then he exhales, smiles, and turns toward the door. When he's gone, the room feels too still. I stare at the chair he was sitting in, the half-open door, the dust motes floating in the sunlight. Then I open my sketchbook one last time and start to draw him leaving, his back turned, sunlight tracing the edges of his outline. And when I finish, I realize the lines are trembling, not because of my hand, but because I'm crying. It's been 6 months since Ethan left. The gym still sounds the same, the echo of sneakers, the buzz of fluorescent lights, the rhythmic thump of the ball. But he's not there anymore, and somehow that sound has lost its heartbeat. People still talk about him. Reyes got featured in a college highlight reel. Did you see his interview? He's gonna go pro someday. Every time I hear his name, my stomach twists, part pride, part ache. I smile when people mention him, because that's what you do when someone you care about is doing well. But some nights, when the campus is quiet and the only sound is the scratching of my pencil, I still hear his laugh echoing in my head. He calls sometimes. Not often. His schedule is wild, and mine isn't much easier with finals and exhibitions coming up. But every call feels like a soft thread tugging across distance. He tells me about his new team, about dorm food, about how college feels both too big and too fast. And I tell him about my art projects, about how Mrs. Alvarez wants me to submit my sketchbook to a regional showcase. I don't tell him that every new drawing somehow ends up looking a little like him. Today, I'm sitting in the art building's empty studio, sunlight stretching long across the floor. My newest series hangs on the wall, 8 pieces, each one a moment we shared. I didn't title them with words. Just dates. Mrs. Alvarez says they feel like a story. She's not wrong. I'm working on the final piece when my phone buzzes. It's a message from Ethan. You still draw every day? Because I still think about that last one you gave me. I smile before I even mean to. Every day, I text back. Some things you don't unlearn. Good, he replies. Because I have something for you too. A few minutes later, another message arrives, a photo. It's of his dorm wall. Above his desk, pinned between ticket stubs and practice schedules, is my drawing of him. It's creased and faded at the corners, but it's there. Beneath it, in his messy handwriting, I can just make out the words. Home is where someone sees you. I cover my mouth, laughing through tears. He remembered. The next day, I'm in the studio again, finishing my last piece for the showcase. It's different from the others, simpler, more abstract. 2 outlines facing each other, their lines trailing off into open space. Not touching, but not apart either. When Mrs. Alvarez comes by, she studies it quietly for a moment. This one feels peaceful, she says. What do you want to call it? I think for a long moment, then whisper, the distance between pages. She nods, smiling. Fitting. That night, I walk home under a sky that's the color of watercolor ink, soft, blurred, infinite. I stop by the old gym, the one that started everything. It's quiet now, doors locked, lights dimmed. I sit on the steps and open my sketchbook. The pages are worn, some smudged, others torn, but each one is a memory, a day I didn't realize I was saving. The first page still makes me smile. Ethan on the court, caught mid-laugh, completely unaware. The lines are rough, uneven. My hand was trembling that day. The last page is him walking away, sunlight fading at his back. I trace the outline with my finger, then close the sketchbook slowly. It's not sadness I feel now, not exactly. It's something gentler, like gratitude that our stories met, even for a little while. I don't know if we'll ever end up in the same place again. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But I do know this, he changed the way I see the world. He made me realize that love doesn't always stay, but it always leaves something beautiful behind. And that's what I keep sketching for. When I get back to my dorm, I find another message waiting. Just one line this time. You're still my favorite artist. I stare at it until the words blur, then open my sketchbook to a new, blank page. For the first time, I don't feel nervous about the emptiness. Because maybe this is what beginnings look like: clean paper, steady hands, and someone out there who once taught you how to see. I pick up my pencil, smiling, and I start to draw again. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more original novel stories. And stay tuned, our next story is coming soon.